Well, I wasn't going to make a top 10 list. I was going to make a top 10 list, and I think I did because Amy said they were dumb. I think I did.
That's why you're doing it? Because I said...
There's
No, you asked me to make a
there's
top
a
10
component
list.
of it, a spite, I think. At a spite.
Well, I'm not surprised, but...
But it's important. You know, and this, I can never... You know, the top 10 list, I have to find a better way to categorize them because they're not top 10 lists. Some days it's projections. First of the month, they try to mark all the horses and tell you who is the best right now to date. Everything all included. But that's not this week. This week, because I didn't see everybody train on Wednesday, I'm going to take in all the information I have and give you the top 10 horses from this week. This week. No, what else on there? Insider Trading. Who in the first one? To say you weren't there.
I think Insider Trading, but I don't know.
She did, yeah, he did. So I'm doing my best to compile my list. Now, I can tell you I had a horse on number one. Number one. But she just...
I'm gonna yell it out so bad right now.
I know, but she wasn't... She just... Every week she wasn't there, and she wasn't in with the best horses this week. So our best... Like, she looked so strong this week. I so badly want to make her number one. I just can't do it. I can't do it. So... And that's only because there are so many other horses that belong in here. Now, I knew that I was doing my top 10 list for this week and this week alone. So horses like Drebin didn't even go on the list. Didn't even put them on the list. This list was 24 horses. I thought I was going to get to like 15, 16 and kind of whittle it down a little bit. 24. Without Drebin, George of the Jungle, the other little Bruno, all the other horses that are good horses didn't even show up on this list, and it was still 24. It is almost May, and our list is a tight 20 to 30 every week, and a very loose almost 35 every week. So we have a strong group of horses. You know, it's the same as everything. Every year I tell everybody, just take it with a grain of salt. I'm optimistic. I think our horses are good, but I have no idea how other people's horses are. So I'm going to give you my top 10 list. Now, this is this week. And then as I say this week and this week alone, I so bad want to put that horse back at number one. So bad. Anyway, I'm going to get through my list. As I do sometimes, I'm going to tell you the horses that didn't make my list. And I know Eric's going to be upset. Alibaba didn't make the top 10. Eric told me it's the best horse we have. Now, Eric's wrong, but she is one of the best. No, you can't do your homework and type at the same time. No, you got to put your phone away.
I'm discussing a horse getting fed.
Mm-mm.
It'll be 2 seconds.
Mm-mm. So, Eric said that Alibaba is the best horse we have. I disagree. I've gone with her, but that's only because there's a lot of really good horses in the barn. Nevertheless, Alibaba should be, could be, might be a top 10 horse overall, but I didn't put her on my top 10 list this week. Sorry, Eric. Blanton's Blue is a horse I've done nothing but talk fondly about for 3 weeks now, and he was awesome again this week. Joey went with him, fanned him out 4 wide coming out of the turn and almost looped everybody. He was awesome. He didn't make the list. Flash Value, one of your set with you, said I didn't put her on my top 10 list, and she's won 3 weeks in a row, I think. Irresistible Sun, a horse I've told you is one of our best horses overall in Ohio and maybe one of our best trotters overall. I just didn't put... And he went good I only beat him at the wire with Cowboy by the Sea, and he didn't make the list.
Who's it?
Irresistible Sun. Oh. Lonely Lakewood has made the list like every week, forever. Not on my top 10 list this week. Lover's Play, I've told everybody I think this is a very, very good horse. In fact, I'm pretty much already mapped out her trajectory for the summer. She's staying in Kentucky. She will not be going to New Jersey. She's going to race in Oak Grove. That will carry into the Kentucky Sire Stakes, and that is where Lover's Play will stay all summer. I think this is a very, very good filly. She didn't make my top 10 list. I went with Militant this week because Curtis and his family own a third of the colt, and he showed up. Drove 8 hours to watch the horses train. He drove 8 hours with his wife to watch the horse, 7 or 8 hours to watch the horses train. That's crazy. It's dedication. And I felt if he's going to show up, he had lots of fun. He bought everybody pizza. Thank you, Curtis, by the way. I thought since he drove all the way there, I should go with this horse. I put Milton on the front, and I lit a fire under him starting out of there, and he was wild. He was sharp and won the set very, very easily in 221 or 222. He was really, really good. He didn't make the list, though, Curtis. Sorry. Paycheck Princess has been awesome for 3 weeks. Eric's doing a great job going with her. We changed her gear. Finally got her dialed in the way we want her. But again, didn't make the list this week. Sedona Hill didn't make the list this week, and she's been awesome. What? She didn't make your list this week. Southwind Digit was great again. Great again on Wednesday. Didn't make the list. Sweeney. I've been going with Sweeney for 8 weeks straight. Sweeney's going to be a Sire State colt, but he's going to be a Sire State colt.
Okay.
I'm telling you. Joel's watches all the videos. Sweeney, he's too...
I just think I can't take him seriously.
Well, he's just too fast, too strong, and too quick on his feet not to be a Sire State horse. I really think he's going to be. And if he isn't, he isn't, but I really think he's going to be. Now, it's early. That's a tall statement to make on April the 21st of his 2-year-old year. I just see where he's come from, where he's at now, no hiccups along the way, and he's still moving forward in a big way. Didn't make the list. Time is on my side.
Yeah, but this was this week and he didn't train.
That's exactly right. He
So
didn't train. Neither did Drebin, so he's not on the list. Everybody else on this little electronic piece of paper right here made the list. I'm going to start with number 10. This is a filly that is underrated. Every week, every single week, she's not talked about enough. Her name is Royal Emeralds. She is a green shoe filly. All the green shoes are coming around now. We bought that green shoe breeding. I bought the green shoe breeding for $17,000, which is 55% off what Steve paid to breed Stacy Hanover to. And it's a $30,000 breeding, I think, maybe 25, but we bought it for $17,000. I just thought it was a good deal, and we bred Globetrotting today. Today, Globetrotting was bred to green shoe.
Oh, that'll be a fun one.
That's what Jason said. I'm not breaking that one. Globetrotting is stubborn, strong, and if you caught her on a real tough day where she was having a bad day, you're going to have a bad day too. And that's just how Globetrotting was. So, the green shoes are tough to break. That one's going to be a tough one to break. Royal Emerald's just a really nice filly. I think we have... All of our green shoes are nice. All of them. Every single one of them now. And this filly, I think... I'm biased thinking of the other. I'm trying to step back and take a fair look at it. She might be the best one of them all. Might be. And she is a very, very good horse.
It'd be fun to, put a set of the green shoe fillies.
Wouldn't be hard to do. Wouldn't be hard to do at all. Now, obviously, Goldbug's going to need a little time, but the other fillies are unbelievable. Number 10, Royal Emeralds. Number 9, Arson. I've got to see you go with Arson. I've got to see Derek go with Arson. I've got to see everybody go with Arson. Jason, both Jasons have gone with Arson. I've gone with Arson. He has got better every time we've gone. Since the corks come off, he has just charged forward. This horse was flying on the end of the mile again this week. Derek came first over. I was on the front. I said, let him go. Put him on the front. So he cleared it. He was going to sit outside of me down the backstretch. I said, no, let him go. Put him on the front down the backstretch. I sat behind him in Lover's Play, and she was loaded. We come out of the last turn, and he even moved over to let me through early. I come charging through, and I was going full speed, and she was smoking, and he went, gone, drove away from her. He is a fast little horse, and he is going to be a nice little horse for us. Arson, the 3/4 brother to Pure Country, the 3/4 brother to Charleston, is a very nice colt and well on his way to the races. Number 8, Pickpocket. This horse has slid down quite a bit, and not because he has slid really at all, but just we had so many really, really good trainers this week. The number 1 is a new number 1, first time ever number 1. Number 2 has been unbelievably good. These are all horses that trained great this week. Pickpocket trained good again. They chopped all the toes off him the day before he trained. Jason went out and said, he's not trotting the greatest. I said, score him down, and Jason let him rock. Scored him down, pulled him up, walked him, and we went the mile, and he circled the whole field down the backstretch, but then got green in the last turn, and Jason, he's a lefty. The horse is pulling up a little bit. He's pecking at him, and I said, oh, my God. And he came back on down the lane and finished second. The horse was just loaded. He's just such a nice horse. From week to week, I can tell you, this could be our best horse. This could be our best horse. I think if you add it up every week, I picked each horse as number 1 overall. In my mind, Pickpocket would be the leader. Pickpocket would have more...
This would be the most consistent.
Exactly. Pickpocket, if you had said every week, who's the best horse that you have this week, and gave that horse 1 point for that week, the most points would be in Peck Pocket. He is a really, really nice horse and comes in at number 8, by the way. Number 7, Insider Trading. I think we have this filly dialed in perfectly now. James went with me the other day and said a little kid could train this filly. Man, she's come a long way, and she was exceptionally good the other day again. Comes in at number 7. Again, a green shoe filly. This is the one you picked out, I think, Insider Trading, you and Danny, right?
No.
Oh, right. This is the one that I bought. This is Robert Lidstrom's pick,
Yes.
is who it is.
Which, I mean, I'd rather pick something he picked than something I picked.
Why? No.
That's his job.
That's his job, you're right. JL Cruz's sister by Green Shoe, and she comes in at number 7, Insider Trading.
Have you put her on your list before?
Oh, yeah. She's been on the list for. Number 6, Venice Blue Chip, comes in at 6.
What?
Venice Blue Chip has been a number 1. She would be in the running for number 1s overall, would be Venice Blue Chip, but she comes in at 6, and she could be 5. 5 and 6 are like sisters. They're not related by 2 different sires, but they're always right there together. They're so similar. They're so similar. I almost think of them as the same horse sometimes. Venice Blue Chip, number 6. Number 5, Winter Bells. Winter Bells is such a nice filly. She just does everything. Her and Venice are very similar. Have a very surgical, methodic way about them on the track. They seem to understand what their job is, yet are fiercely competitive. And I love that about both these fillies. And you go with Winter Bells all the time. Mm-hmm. She was good again the other day. Amy said she's almost too quiet. I said, she's a shadow play. Just leave her alone. Let's not start her up. We'll start her up in July. You don't have to worry about turning her ignition on. The one thing about the shadow play, sometimes they can get a little bully. So I'm happy with her just being very docile and still winning every single week that she goes on the track. That was number 5.
And 4. Oh, 6 and 5.
6 and 5. Number 4. I had, as I trained this colt down, once in a while I go with him and say, geez, I hope he doesn't turn out to be kind of a good horse.
Which one?
I haven't told you yet. I hope he doesn't turn out to be a middle of the road, geez, he's a nice horse, but we paid a lot for him type of horse. And I don't think he is. We put the aluminum shoes on him, and so this particular horse, I'll tell you this, Cowboy by the Sea, every week, if you move him at the quarter, let somebody remove, or leave him on the front, and just let him settle for about 3/8, he'll sprint hard on the end of it. And a couple of times I came first over, and he just didn't feel good. Came second over, he didn't finish up his work the way I expected him to. So I put him in a place he was not used to being. I sat last with him. At a mile and a half, we went the first half in 1:24. We went the second half. Jason came first over with Gypsy Hope. And as Jason coasted by me, I let his wheel get about a half a length ahead of me, and we started into the backstretch, and I wheeled Cowboy out, and I growled at him. And he went from last, 3 wide, circled the entire field, and back into neutral in about 3 strides. I mean, it was wide open racehorse speed for 10 pylons. And he literally went from fifth to first and stopped again in that distance. Not even 10 pylons, maybe 8, 7. It was an explosive move. 2 things. One, I hadn't seen him move that quick in the middle portion of a mile before. I hadn't seen him be that smart where he could understand what I was doing with him. And then to let Jason up alongside me and then call on him again halfway down the lane, I just chirped to him, and Gypsy and I finished 1-2 right together. And I pulled up and I said, this is a very, very, very scary horse. And that was the first time I'd gone with Cowboy where I started. This is a time of year when all that work we put into them starts to show up, just in these little incremental ways where you see the horses get a little bit better, but better in such an impressive way. Just, if you watched all Cowboy in the Seas videos, you might not even notice what I'm saying. Because a couple of times he's sprinted out of the 2-hole or up the passing lane or, just done everything right, but not like this. This was a first for him. And to see him do what he did the other day, that tells me that he understands now. He understands his work. He enjoys moving quickly, but understands he's smart enough not to get wound when you move him and stay wound. He will get into 5th gear, but throttle right back to 3rd when you need him to. And I think that's an extremely important thing to do, to teach a young horse to do that. And it's not something easily done, and you're going to see most of the horses on this list can do that. And you know what I have on here? 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 2 number 5s.
Oh, that's not allowed. Remember the time I did that? It
I
was
know,
like-
but it was a mistake. I have a number 5 up here, and I have a number 5 down here. And I'm going to have to give both of them a number 5 because they're both good. That filly won her set the other day. Crushed them. And we'll talk about number
Yeah,
4.
but you were just talking about number...
Winter Bells is number 5. That one up there is number
Yeah,
5
but
too.
you were talking-
I'm going to have a 5A and a
You've
5B.
moved on.
I have to move back because I can't just give that filly number 5 because they're both number 5 status. I've made a mistake. I'm going to give them a 5 and a 5A. Okay. Cowboy by the Sea was awesome the other day. Now we're going to rewind. I've made a mistake. Winter Bells was number
Everyone
5.
take note of this for the next time
Yeah.
I have...
Oh,
an
everybody
ex-
take note that Anthony's human.
No. I've done this before where I had...
Do you have any video evidence?
Yes, it was a top 10 list
I'll
last
give you the
year.
rest of the night to go back and find it. If you
No,
want
you
to.
said I can't have 11 horses on my list.
And I didn't try to. I have 10. Unfortunately, I have 2 5s. This is going to, look, I'm going to change it. Look, 5A. Look, see? 5A. I have to put this horse on the list. I can't just discard her because she's been one of our most consistent horses. I told you last week that Affection's Break was an anomaly and just pitch it. We actually put a head pole on her this week. Not a line pole. We put a head pole on her and she was running
On
in.
the outside?
Yep. Put a head pole on the outside and a Murphy blind, and she
she
was
better?
running in. So they're going to take that Murphy blind off. She cleared to the front at the half, and I wanted to see how she'd do because the last time she cleared to the front, she kind of got beat. 3 horses blew by her down the lane.
That was a windy day. Oh, was it?
Doesn't matter. She made the front and gave it up late. And I was curious what she'd do this day. And she was in with a stiff bunch of horses. And Darryl cleared to the front down the backstretch, or starting into the backstretch, left her alone, and she finished off her supper, so to speak, and give it to them. And was awesome the other day. Affection deserves on this list, not to say that Winter Bells doesn't, so I'm not going to take either of them off. Number 5A is Affection. 4 was Cowboy by the Sea. Now the top 3 list, going to get a little hairy. Coming in at number 3, we have 2 brand new horses to the top 3 at least. Coming in at number 3 is a horse that I wanted to put at number 1. I have personally worked with her over the last 6, 7, 8 weeks. We changed her shoes ever so slightly. All three of the green shoes, the 2 fillies here and this filly also, they wear egg bars behind. They were still touching on their shins, on the boots. So rather than tip them out and screw around with them, I just asked the blacksmith to put a little shim on the inside of their shoe. Now that shim, theoretically, if you put it on the inside, will tip their feet out just ever so slightly. Now, I'm always worried, is that going to cause them to get a little sore later on? So we're always watching for that. Now, the theory behind this is it may help them break over to the outside a little more and widen them up. Every horse is different. But if it helped one of the 3 of them, that would be a win for us. I don't think there was a way it could hurt them unless they started to get a little sore. So they've had them in there now for a month. Both the fillies here have them in and are trotting great now because they're not hitting. Pull the shoes is the filly I'm talking about now. We changed her behind. She was trotting better, but she still made that break after the mile last week going into the turn. She touches her knees like the 2 fillies will here also. But with the bell boots on, she just kind of hit the rubber of the bell boot on the rubber of the knee boot and stuck. Screwed up her timing and her gait, and she rolled off stride. So I took the bell boots off of her, and what I did was, because she touches those knees, again, I didn't want to tinker with her angles too much, just put 2 toe corks on the outside of each front foot, just to help her break away from her knees a little bit more. That also doesn't always work, but again, if it did, great. There wasn't a whole lot of loss involved here. As soon as I scored her down before the training mile, I knew she was perfect. She might have helped her just a hair, but that's all she needed to stay out of those knees. And I moved her quick to the front of the quarter, sat in. Jason come charging on the outside with his filly around the last turn. And she loves to fight, but she waits. She'll wait until I call on her. She's like a good guard dog.
Yeah.
That's what she's like. And we got to head of lane, and I could just feel her vibrating in the lines. And she was just itching for me to even so much as slightly move the line. And we got to head of lane, and Jason's roaring at his filly. Somebody ducks into the passing lane. Somebody comes 3 deep. And she was just vibrating. And she went, "Hey, girl." And she went, and I mean, I just lifted the line just a hair. And she was, from whatever gear she was in at that moment, to absolute red line override. Just wide open the whole way down the lane. And I had her doubled up going under the wire, and she comes screaming through the turn. Never put a step in, never touched the knee, never touched anywhere. And I pulled up, and Jason said, "Who is that?" I says, "Pull the shoes." And to see her come from all those breaks she was making in the winter 8 weeks ago, and how much how much how frustrated she was doing it, to being able just to tinker with her a little bit, change her shoes ever so slightly, change her gear, just change everything just a hair, and have her turn into this filly. If you'd have seen her the other day, wait until you see her the next time. Pull the shoes I had on number 1 for the 10 minutes I was making this list. She was my number 1, and I just had to change her to number 3 because the 2 in front of her were every bit as good as she's been the last little while. They were a little more consistent, and they're really, really good too. The number 1 horse, first time in the number 1 slot, and that horse was amazing this week, and has been amazing for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. And you'll see, I'll talk more about that horse in a minute, but number 3, Pull the Shoes. I love this filly. And I said to Jason pulling up, I don't know if she's our best horse, I don't know if she's our fastest horse, but she might be my favorite horse. Yeah. She's a really, really nice filly. So that was number 3, Pull the Shoes. Number 2, Dethrone, Punch the Clock. Not because she wasn't awesome this week, just because the horse I put at number 1 has been so good for so long, and then just looked that much better this week in the way he went about his work. I've seen the horse at number 1 win sets from everywhere and do everything perfectly, and the more I look at him, and then I remember what he did this week, and I just had to put him at number 1. Punch the Clock has been great. She's such a good horse. She was bought to be our flagship horse. She very likely could be our flagship horse and remain our flagship horse for quite some time. James loves her to death. Just everything you want to see in a good horse, she exhibits now. And that's so hard to believe because she almost died at Christmas. She literally was at the hospital for 2 weeks, in the real world on life support, and then in the ICU. For all intents and purposes, almost dead for a week. Recovered. Got out of the hospital, somehow looked shiny. And then as we start getting her in the harness ever so slightly, like, she's not going to be ready till the fall. Don't worry about her. She just looks nice filly. Just so lucky that she stayed. She made it. And then she got better and better and better and better. And we hit her. And we tried to go in the slow sets with her. And then she started beating them up. And then we put her in a tiny bit faster set. She pounded them. Put her in a tiny bit faster set. She obliterated them. Put her in with some better horses last week. Mauled them. And then again, now all we're trying to do, there's no question. The speed is there. Now we're just trying to get her to learn the things that those horses did. Sit, move, behave, relax, listen. These types of things that she didn't get to learn when the other horses were learning it. And every time you do something, it's like a sponge. She just absorbs everything. She doesn't do the same thing wrong last week or this week that she did last week. She learns quickly, and that is why she's such a nice filly. I think the world of Punch the Clock, and I think she's going to be a really, really good horse. The horse I put at number 1 this week isn't even staked Grand Circuit. He's only staked regionally. He's in Ohio. His name's Gypsy Hill. The horse has been absolutely fantastic forever. Since we broke him, he's been good. And I told you about the set where I circled around with Cowboy by the Sea. Well, Jason was first over, and he stayed first over into Cowboy by the Sea. Around the last turn, I let him right up into the side of my bridle. And I didn't get after Gypsy Hill coming down lane, but I chirped to him, and I started him up. And Gypsy Hill and him were head to head going under the wire. And we weren't moving the last 3/8 of the mile. Gypsy Hill is a good horse. And he's, the fact that I did not put, I told you that Irresistible Sun could possibly be the best horse in Ohio, could be our best Ohio colt. He didn't make the top 10 list this week and did everything right. He did everything right and didn't make the top 10 list. And the horse that I feel he's very, very comparable with, I just put it number 1. And that's how hard it is to make these top 10 lists. And people might say, they're stupid and they don't matter. Whoever those people might be. They do matter because it allows me to tell you. It allows me to tell you how I feel. So I'm going to talk about them just fine. Now, I'm going to get you to talk about all the 2-year-olds. You do 2 cents, and I'm going to get you to explain all the 2-year-olds because you might not see them this week, but you've seen them all, and you know what they've all done.
Explain.
You are going to be the one to talk about all the 2-year-olds. We'll do the video in just a second.
No.
Yep. So that's the top 10 list. That's my top 10 list. That is this week's top 10 list. It was so hard to make it. 24 horses made the list. And outside of those 24, there might have been 10 or 15 more I easily could have put on the list. Drebin's not on here. Time Is on My Side's not on here. So there's tons of horses that could have went on this list that didn't. 24 started it. 10, well, actually 11, were the ones that made the final 10. So with that, I'm going to stop the list. I'm going to go. We're going to do the 2-year-olds and 3-year-olds way back in just a second.